Your style and your flavor make the city rock. They must say the season come out with a bang. Coach Minzy, best round here. Remember that.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another night of the From Trackside episode of the Coach's Desk. And we have a very special guest with us this evening. And we'll be talking about the National Junior and Senior Trials that is, quite frankly, having a buzz right across the nation and the diaspora. And also, there are a lot of trials that will be taking place this very weekend. But persons can't decipher which one to lock into, the Jamaica trials or the US trials, because these are the two powerhouses out there where track and field is concerned. And of course, you know that there is a rivalry that, it will forever be. It's, you know what I mean, a perennial, a perpetual rivalry where US and Jamaica is concerned. But we have the track and field guru here with us that will be talking about the event. We thank him very much for tuning in. Thanks for accepting the invitation to be here. Well, the last time he was here, he definitely said that he'll be back and hope that we invite him. And that we did. Right? So we'll be talking to track and field guru Leighton Levy. But before we get into it, people, just want to tell you that, of course, welcome to those on Facebook that are tuning in at this moment as well. And please remember, the golden rule is to like the stream, right? So you can like the stream and we'll have that discussion, and you can tell a friend to tell a friend about the Coach's Desk. Yeah. So people, share the stream. Without any further delay, I will be bringing in Leighton Levy for us to have this wholesome and possible robust conversation where track and field is concerned. Leighton Levy, welcome to Coach's Desk another time.
How you doing, man? Long time.
Yeah, man, it's a privilege to have you, and I've always tuned into you whenever you give your track and field talks on the
Sports Max
program
Zone.
that you work with over there on Sports Max. Big up to George. Over here in football world, we call him the Pink Watch boss. So big up to George if he's tuned in. If he's tuned in. And welcome to everyone. Again, Leighton, how are you, man?
Oh, not too bad, you know. Just coming off about a COVID, but I'm trying to get the best of it, and because I need to get to the National Stadium on Thursday.
Yes.
So I'm doing everything to ensure that I'm, in kind of condition. Because the COVID really took a big chunk out of me for the last 2 weeks. So I'm just grateful to be here to be able to talk about track and field, given what I've experienced in the last couple of weeks. Anybody who don't believe that COVID is real, trust me, it's very, very real.
Yeah, man. And we're happy that you're well to, even take up this invitation. Yeah, people, so you have to protect yourself out there. As somebody would say, the germs is still out there. So you have to do what you need to do to protect yourself from that germs.
Hmm.
All right, so Leighton, big event this weekend. Senior and junior national championships. And it has a whole lot of tongues wagging. A lot of persons become now track and field gurus and predictors.
Hmm.
Persons in the betting world, they are gearing up. I see a lot of notes on decks and tables.
Yep.
What are your initial thoughts, so to speak, on before we get into the various events? What are your expectation on this great? I think this is one of the greatest um national signatures that has ever happened, even before it started. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
think Yeah, I think in many ways it's going to be interesting. I think for a couple of reasons. One, I think for the first time in a while, I don't think we'll see our athletes at near peak performance, primarily because the World Championships are so close to the National Championships. I think it's just basically 3 weeks between the end of our National Championships on Sunday and the start of the World Championships in Oregon, which is July the 15th. So you just have just under 3 weeks, about 18, 19 days before. So I think what we'll see is that there are a lot of athletes, especially in the sprints, who will be approaching peak, but they won't hit their peak until maybe, yeah, a few days before the World Championship start on July the 15th. So I don't think we're going to see in some events certainly extremely fast times. I think we'll see fast enough times to give us an idea of where some of the athletes are heading. But I don't think we're going to see many of our sprinters at their peak performance, what we expect to see in mid-July, for the 10 days in mid-July. So I think that's the first thing that I think comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that comes to mind is the depth that we are going to see at these national championships for the first time in a long time. And while it's relative depth, it's a very positive indicator looking forward. Because, for example, take the men's 400 meters. We haven't had a great 400-meter crew in a while, many years. There's only one Jamaican so far this year that's broken 45 seconds. That's Javon Powell, 44.87. But after that, there are 15 guys who have run below 46 seconds, put it that way. And of course, that doesn't include Demish Gay, who hasn't broken 46 all year, 46.04. So you're looking at a deep crew of 400-meter guys, which I think will get a nice 4x4 squad out of. The women's 100-meter hurdles is going to be, despite the absence of Akira Nugent, because she tore a plantar fascia in late May, early June. I think we're going to see some really good, keen competition, like Demisha Roswell, Megan Topper, Daniel Williams, Trishana Hemmings, Brittany
Brittany.
Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have a nice crew, and that goes on both sides. I think for the men, however, I think we'll see there was a lot of expectation among the men, but I think what we're seeing is a depletion of some of the talent. Ronald Levy's out after surgery. Damian Thomas, who got to the semifinals at the Olympics last year, has not been in the best of form. So that leaves, of course, Omar McLeod. I mean, not to say that Omar isn't quality, but
Mm-hmm.
Omar McLeod. There is Ansel Parchment, Orlando Bennett, and a few others. So the men's field won't necessarily be as deep as we would have liked it to be, but I still think it's going to be a very keenly contested event because I think Omar McLeod will want to come and prove
Mm-hmm.
that his omission from the Olympics last year was unfortunate, and he's been coming to try and prove it. We saw him race with Hansel Parchment so far this year. Hansel, of course, got the better 13.06, I think it was, the 13.17. So the thing is that we're going to see some good performances, but they're not going to be as good as potentially what we'll see 3 weeks later in Oregon. So because even
Right.
if women's 400 meters, with Cherokee Young and Stacey Ann Williams, Stephanie Mcpherson, and of course Candice McLeod, my favorite to win the 400 at trials this weekend. I think we'll have some really, really interesting races this weekend that will excite the fans and give them a taste of what to expect in about
Right.
3 weeks later. Huh?
All right. Let me chime in a little bit. And you said it perfectly because what will happen invariably is that the coaches will not change or alter their program for this event,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the fans need to temper their expectation when it comes on to the various events that they are looking forward to. Persons running faster, they might run faster, but in terms of being in peak performance, I don't think you'll be getting it because there are probably like 3 more weeks to go, and
Mm-hmm.
there's still a lot more that can be done
In
in
those
this
3 weeks.
3 week period.
Mm-hmm.
So, fans, I just want you to temper your expectation. Don't be looking for any world record performance. If athletes are pushed and they have to make it, then you might see a fast time running. But I mean, I am tempering my expectation because of how I know that this thing happens.
Yeah,
Right?
because the other thing as well, is that other than the World Championships, you remember that there are people who are also going to the Commonwealth Games right after the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't afford to peak too early because holding that peak for more than 3 or 4 weeks is extremely hard, if almost impossible in many instances. So, I think we will see the athletes who will be, they'll be, because of the cycles that they're on, they'll be approaching peak, but they won't be anywhere near peak.
All right, let's put the magnifying glass a little bit on the men.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the men in terms of the. Let's start with the 100 meters.
Hmm.
It should be mouth watering. You have the likes of Akeem Blake. You have the likes of
Oblique Seville.
Oblique Civil. There's Johan Blake as well. There's Kemar Bailey Cole,
Hmm.
and there are others. One noticeable absentee is Devontae Burnett.
Burnett.
Apparently, he has not overcome that injury that he sustained
Yeah,
in
man, that
that.
injury is a season-ending injury that he picked up early in the NCAA season, where he
Mhm.
had just after he had run 9:99 and looking
Right.
like he was in good shape. So he's out. He's out for the entire championship. In fact, if you watch the NCAA championships,
You
you would
didn't
have
see it.
seen
Right.
USC, who won the title, praise him for getting him qualified for the NCAA's.
Mhm.
But and
Mhm.
they had his name on their spikes, just as a tribute to the
Right.
work that he did in getting them there. So, but he unfortunately he's out. But I still think that it's going to be a very interesting field because you mentioned a number of names there. I have to give credit to um to Titans International, for bringing forth a lot of athletes that many people thought had, been past their best, like Kemar Bailey Cole, who has had his fair share of injury and illnesses over the last 2 years. And I know at one point last year he was thinking of giving up altogether. When I saw him at JC a couple of weeks ago, he looked like he was getting back to that kind of speed that we saw from him in 2015 when you remember when he pulled up the hamstring in London when he was challenging Bull for the 100 meters, and of course had that very very debilitating double hamstring injury. He looks really sharp, and I know that since that time he probably would have been a lot sharper coming into these championships this weekend. Notwithstanding what we said about peaking, but certainly based on what we saw, JC Wedding ran was it 10:18. He looked very comfortable, like well within himself, and
Yes.
looking like he is ready to run really fast again. So, of course, with Oblique Seville trading really, really well, Akeem Blake, you have to give Gregory Little and Michael Freight a lot of credit because, Stephen Francis and Glenn Mills get a lot of the praise. But what we've seen them do with Akeem Blake and, of course, Johan Blake and, of course, Kemar Bailey Cole,
Kemar Bailey
certainly,
Cole. Yes.
you have to give them kudos. And I think they'll make a lot of noise at these championships this weekend.
I heard it from about January that Titans will be making a lot of noise come trials. So it is closely coming to fruition, even without a race being run as yet. Absentee. We spoke about Burnett,
Mhm.
Sachin Dennis.
That's a mystery because I don't know. I suspect that he might be injured again because, as you know, he is prone to injury. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard anything definitive, so I don't want to end up speculating here. But he's not on the injury list, which should suggest that he's not healthy again. Of course the prevailing rumor over the years is that he's going to eventually change nationalities. I don't think, I don't think, I honestly don't think that that's the case. I think he's probably just not healthy anymore because he was at elite performance,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen what journalists have been doing with Shelly and Fraser Price and the rest that
Mm-hmm.
over there. But Julian Ford and Sachin Dennis have not. We haven't seen much of them so far this season, which would indicate that they're again, on the medical table, trying to get healthy.
All right. We see where Conroy Jones is in there. Could he
Fast.
be one of those that will go sub 10?
I
Because
don't.
he's
I'm.
biting at the bit,
Yeah, he is, and I saw him at the last meet I had before I got COVID at JC meet. He looked really, really good. I think it was 10:1 something that he ran. I'm trying to remember the time.
Yes. I
but
think
he
it's
looked
10-1-7 there about, or
yeah
1-4. I'm not
or one
quite.
four. I think it was, but
Yeah.
he looked really sharp. Whether or not he's able to break 10 seconds, it's been 3 weeks, so maybe he's ready. But the thing is, as you know, there's a big difference between running sub 10 and a one off, as
Right,
opposed to
right.
going through the rounds and then running
Roads,
sub
yes.
10. I don't know if he's strong enough yet. I still think that, you know, it's early stages in his development. So I'm looking at him as somebody who get to the final, probably run a 10:09 or 10:07, but I'm not quite sure he's ready to break that magical 10-second barrier yet. It would be nice if he surprises me, but based on what I've seen of him so far this season, maybe by next year he'll be ready to do that, but I don't know whether or not he's going to be, because he's going to, based on the fields that will be assembled, we're seeing over what, 60 guys for the lineup for the 100. That will probably sap his legs going through the preliminary rounds into the semifinals, into the finals, and whether or not he'll be able to then break 10 seconds after that, after those exertions, I'm not fully convinced that he is just yet. But I think he's a potential talent for the future. And when you
Hmm.
look at what Akeem Blake and Oblique Seville has done so
Right.
far this season, that kind of inspiration I think will push athletes like him even faster, because I think they will now see that no Asaf and no Bolt, no Blake, none of the big stars of the past era are here. But here are some youngsters, 21 and 22, like him, who are doing this. So, that'd be a nice motivation, a nice push for him to actually probably break the 10-second barrier sometime next season, if he doesn't surprise and do it this weekend. But I just don't see it happening this weekend.
Right, right. And will the guru, coaching guru, Stephen Frana Francis, shine again at these trials? Long
Um,
jumper, Tajay Gale.
Tajay has had his issues with the knee. I mean, I saw him earlier this season at the stadium, one of the Jubilee, the SDF Jubilee meets, and he looked like he was struggling with that knee. We haven't seen much of him since that time, so I don't know where his knee is at. I see him entered in the 100. I remember Coach Francis told me earlier this year that he expects him to run really fast this year, and of course to jump even farther than the World Championship winning jump in 2019. I just don't know whether or not his knee is going to be able to allow him to do that. But I think those questions will probably be answered this weekend. Because to be fair, we haven't seen much of him since early May. So you really don't have a sense of where he's at in terms of his fitness and his
Hmm.
preparation coming into these championships.
There's this youngster from GC Foster College that has been doing pretty well. Consistent, Cajun Golson.
Yeah.
Is he knocking at the door to spring an upset?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think I saw him at one of those meets again, and you know, after his exertions, he was flat out on the cycle track,
Yeah.
which tells me that he's maybe a year or two away from being fulfilling whatever potential he possesses. I don't think we're gonna see. I mean, I think he has the goods. Um, where those goods will take him, I think we'll have to wait and see. But as it relates to springing a surprise, I don't. I'm kind of reluctant to say yes because I just don't see it. Um, one of the things with sport is that you can only go off of the information that you have,
Hmm.
and based on the information that I have, he isn't quite there yet.
Right, right.
Maybe in another year, depending on how quickly he can progress, I think we'll probably see him in another year or two, um, living up to the potential that we clearly see that he has. Whether or
Right,
not
right.
he's able to fulfill that potential right now, I'm not so sure. I think it might be a year too early.
Yeah, man. So prediction in that 100 meters. Top three.
Top three, I am going with Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, um, and Johan Blake. I think Johan is going to break 10 seconds at these championships, finally. I think he has been knocking at the door, but the last 40 of his races, in the last few races I've seen, suggests that he gets tight in the last 30, 40 meters of the
Mm-hmm.
race, and his shoulders tighten up and he runs on the spot a little bit. I think with the work that Little and Freighter would have done with him over the last few weeks probably get him to relax a little bit more, because Johan knows what he's capable of, and he knows what he has to do to break
Mm-hmm.
that 10-second barrier, something that he's done over 20 times already. So I think he just needs to get back to the athlete that, to get that confidence. I saw him have a social media post where, he said the beast is loading. I'm hoping that really means that the beast is back or back to loading, because if that's the case, then clearly he's going to run sub 10 again. And so
Yes.
my top three would be Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, and Johan Blake, with Kemar Bailey Cole in the mix somewhere, along those lines. I think that those are my top three, clearly, based on form and based on what we've seen from them so far this season leading up to the championships.
All right. And we see Julian Ford, Taekwondo Tracy, who would have been top acts coming into, but based on their season, then they wouldn't have been. But Taekwondo always have a way to show up, but I think this year is one of the years that he is not going to be
Yeah,
in any contention.
I
Sad
haven't
to
been,
say.
I haven't been impressed with anything I've seen from him so far this year. I think his last race was what 10:42, and that was a couple of weeks ago. Not
Mm-hmm.
at this stage of the season, I mean, his PB is 10 flat. You know, I think he would have been probably closer to 10-1 or 10-0, but not 10-4. And I don't know, it just doesn't look particularly impressive so far this season. Um, Julian, I'm sorry for Julian. And honestly, I mean, been following Julian Ford since he was at Woolworths, and I think he's tremendously talented, but his body just doesn't seem to be able to hold up to the work, because he keeps breaking down. Injuries here. I mean, there was just a couple of years ago that he just moved from one injury to the next, and then he got healthy, and then he went to the Olympics, and then boom, he got hurt again. So you kind of hope that Julian will somehow find a way to stay healthy, because if he does, I think he'll be a great asset to Jamaica's track and field. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case right now.
All right. And quickly over to the 200 meters. We have Rashid Dwyer, Johan Blake, Andrew Hudson, Nigel Ellis, Mario Eslap, Antonio Watson, Julian Fort again, Jelani Walker. Mainly some of the same people.
Mm.
So
Rashid,
what's the top three? But before we go into
whoa,
that, it's surprising to not see Jazeel in the 100 meters.
Dazil Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Is I could have sworn I saw his name in there today.
Unless there's a revised list.
Yeah, you should probably check, because I could have sworn I saw his name in there today.
All right.
Um,
But in terms of the 200 meters,
I think
prediction.
I think Rashid is gonna. I mean, we've seen him. Cause his situation where he got. I think it was Chick V that totally destroyed him a few
Right,
years ago,
right.
and he's been slowly making his way back. And I think what I've seen from him since last season suggests that he's slowly making his way back to being the Rashid Dwyer that ran 19. Was it 19.8 at the knockout championships back a few years ago in the semifinals, and he lost in the finals to Andre DeGrasse. So I think he will probably win the 200. The rest of it is really really tough for me to pick. I'm gonna have to probably go with Johan Blake, because I know he's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And whoa, the third pick for me is hard, because I haven't seen anybody this year who has been a standout in the 200 to suggest that they're a sure pick for top three spot at the national championships. So I'm gonna go with Rashid and Johan with that third place. It could very well be Jelani Walker. It could be anyone else, actually, because I think everybody's within that same wheelhouse in terms of time. That it depends on who comes on the day ready to deliver that, who will deliver that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to pick a third place there, because I think everybody's so closely bunched in terms of time, and in terms of performance and consistency of performance,
Right.
that you really can't separate the rest of the field. If sentimentally, I'd probably have to go with Julian Fort, because I want him to make that side, because I think he's been so unfortunate with injury. But if he's healthy,
Or
I'd love to
Nigel
see him.
Ellis.
Or Nigel, yeah, Nigel. The thing with Nigel for me, and it's one of the frustrating things. seeing him at Stets, remember he was part of that amazing 4x1 Stets team. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Levy was part of that team as well. You know, he has not progressed at the level where I thought. I mean, because it's been like what now, 4 or 5 years since he's been out of high school,
Yeah.
and I
It has
haven't
been
seen.
slow.
Yeah, his progress has been slow, and I understand because you hear me say that you need to give athletes time to make that step forward. But I don't. He's not been at that. He runs fast this week, and then next week he looks terrible. So I don't know what. It's hard to gauge what he'll do because he's not at that level where he's consistently running sets like a 20.2 or 20.1, where you can expect a big drop once he tapers. Because he very, very well come to the championship around 20.5. With Nigel Ellis, it's hard for you to get a sense of what he's going to be doing because he's been so inconsistent. I mean, even when he
Mm-hmm.
runs abroad, he looks good in a heat, for example, and then comes to the final and then it's complete garbage in terms of what he's potentially capable of.
Right.
So it's hard. I don't know. It's a lot. And this is not just for him. There are a number of our young emerging athletes who are at that level of inconsistency. You really don't know what to expect from them from day to day. Nigel is somebody who we honestly believe, and I'm sure you are one among them, those who believe that by now he should have been a consistent sub 10 man and probably a 19-second 200-meter
True.
runner. But he hasn't stepped up to the plate when he needed to, and I think that's one of the reasons why you really can't say, yeah, Nigel is going to come and do this because he doesn't, and because he doesn't, you can't really put your pot on fire for him, as them say.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't only hope.
All right. So one of the big surprise to many folks was to see Christopher Taylor lined up in the 1, 2, and 4, and a lot of persons have been talking.
Mhm.
So we're gonna go right into the 400 meters. But before you tell us the athletes to watch in that 400 meters, talk to us about this likely 100-meter quest by Christopher Taylor and his team.
There is no quest. I spoke to his people today, and they are saying that it's a most likely a clerical error, whether or not it's from their side or from the organizer side, as the J3 is. But as far as they're concerned, the only event that Christopher Taylor is going to run this weekend is the 400. There's no 100, there's no 200. Straight 400 meters, and they expect him to perform well and make the team. I'm even based on the conversations that I've had with his people, they are thinking that this is a weekend where he could actually break the 45-second barrier for the first time this season. He's run 45. I think that's his season's best.
Yes.
But I think, as they lighten the load for these championships, he will probably go a little bit faster. So they expect him to go maybe 44.8 or 44.9, maybe even 44.7. But that's the only event he's going to be competing in this weekend.
So people, Christopher Taylor will only be doing the 400 meters. You heard it here. All right. So Akeem Bloomfield, Nathan Allen, Veronica Campbell's brother. What's his name again?
Sean Bailey.
Sean Bailey. You have Javon Powell,
Yep.
Rasheen McDonald, and
Jeremy Bembridge, John
Bembridge,
Barnes,
Farr.
Shavini Hansen, Anthony Cox,
Yes.
Kerami, Bartley, Demar Francis. Of course, all of these guys that we just mentioned have gone 45, are below 46 seconds so
Mhm.
far this season. In fact, there are 15 Jamaican guys who have gone under 46 seconds so far this season. So this probably will be the deepest event that we see at the national championships. Javon Powell ran 44.8 at the end of May. Well, we are at the end of June now. We haven't seen anything from him since that time. So I'm suspecting that if he's healthy, he's probably coming and probably be the marginal favorite for the 400 meters because clearly 44.8 makes him significantly the fastest Jamaican. However, one of the things that I've been impressed about so far this season with a couple of the guys who we expect great things from. Nathan Allen, as you remember, 2019 World Championships, he was fifth in 44.19, had his injury issues, changed camps, left MVP International and went down to Gary Evans where Stephen Gardner trains, and he's run 45:21, couple of 45s other times this season, and a couple of, I think he ran at 20.9 or 20.8 or somewhere at 200 meters. So I'm expecting good things from Nathan, from Akeem Bloomfield, who's run 45.5. Sean Bailey, once he stays healthy, because I know he always gets to the final and then gets hurt. You know, and Zandrian Barnes, you know, I think we're going to see a good competitive 400 meters this weekend. And I think Demish Gay, 46.04 so far this season, but we know he's a 44 man, huh? It's a 44 man. So if he's able to get back to full health, maybe we'll see, you know, maybe see him break 45 seconds as well. You know, and of course, you know, Gregory Prince, 45.99. It's a nicely stacked field, and I think we're going to see some good competitive running in the 400.
What about Javon Francis?
Javon has been looking good. I mean, I remember when he used to train with Boogie's brother. I mean, he had a couple of hip flexor injuries that definitely curtailed his progress. But he's now training with Sanjay here, I'm told, and so he's been making athletics. Yeah, so he's making some progress there, and he's run a couple of 45 so far this season, and looking like the Javon Francis that we knew. Huh? So I don't know whether or not he'll be in the shape to run faster than his season best of 45.5, I think it is. 45.47, I think is season best time. But based on what we're seeing, probably if there's anybody likely to go faster, it probably is him, because you know he has that fire in his belly. You know, he's a man he's split 43 over 4x4 leg already. So once he's healthy, I think, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see probably 3 or 4 guys go under 45 seconds this weekend.
Yes.
You know, and those are the guys who probably make the team. I think Nathan Allen, I think if Javon Powell comes in healthy, I think Javon Francis, I think Christopher Taylor certainly, and Sean Bailey are the favorites for me to be among those. If there is anybody who's going under 45 seconds, those 5 guys are, for me, the most likely to do so.
Top 3.
Top 3. On form, I'm going to go with Javon Powell to make top 3. I think Nathan and Akeem Bloomfield and Christopher Taylor. I'm going to give Christopher Taylor the edge, primarily because he's been so consistent with 45 throughout the course of the season. So one of them, maybe Akeem, because Akeem hasn't raced that much. I think Akeem had 1 400 at 200, and he didn't complete a race at one of the American Track League meets a few weeks ago. So I'd have to say Nathan, Christopher Taylor, and Javon Powell as the top 3. But I wouldn't be surprised if Akeem or Sean Bailey gets in there, or Javon Francis for that matter. But those are my top 3 based on current form and time.
Right. And persons are making reference to Christopher Taylor's quote unquote not being able to get to his best in the 400 this season, and persons are saying that he should be running the 1 and the 2. What say you?
Look, one of the things that a lot of people, and it's one of the things that I've said repeatedly about Jamaican, especially Jamaican track fans, that they only see the end results of what happens on the track. They don't spend enough time to try to find out what happens behind the scenes.
That training.
Yeah, Christopher Taylor went to Tumbleweed 2 seasons ago. A severely beaten up and injured athlete. Scar tissue everywhere, torn muscles everywhere. There was a point where they were worried about whether or not he was able to make the transition to the senior ranks. Right? So far, he's gone and run 44.8 and made an Olympic final. And he's run consistently at 45 this season, which suggests that he's on his way back to being the Christopher Taylor that many people expect. But I do believe that we need to give him a little bit more time, because coming back from injury, especially injuries that were considered career-threatening, are injuries that are hard to recover from. You don't just get up and run fast. You have to train through those injuries. You have to train through those scar tissue. That when you build up that scar tissue and the muscle isn't able to fully recover and the muscle is still weak, those muscle fibers are still weak, it takes time to get those muscles strong enough for him to maintain speed long enough, for him to run the times that he needs to. First of all, over the 200, Maybe we can probably split 20.1 and or 20.2 and come home in 20.23 or 22. Maybe working a 44 low or 43 high runner. That takes time because his body has to get accustomed to first of all converting body fat to glycogen to energy, as opposed to using the energy stores that he has already glycogen in his system. That it takes time because remember that he has not been at his optimal best for a number of years now because of injury. So the pushing his body to those limits that will allow his body to then be more efficient in terms of how it handles its energy stores will take time because he hasn't been able to do that for a long time because he's had injuries. So give him some time. Maybe next year is the time when we'll see Christopher Taylor running consistently 44 fours or 44 threes. That I think, is where I think he should have been had he not been injured. So I think, running the 1 and 2, I mean, the 200, I think he probably needs that more than the 100 because I think the 200 give him a better sense of speed distribution for the 400. It's essential for speed distribution. But the 100 is, as I was telling some people today, the 100 is a different dynamic altogether from the 400. You have a start phase, you have a drive phase, you have a transition, you have the acceleration and speed maintenance. For Cristiano to be very good at the 100, he had to master those before he's even able to break 10 seconds, which is going to take him. This is something that he's never done before, in a formal setting like he's prepared for the 400. It will take him a year, 2, 3 years, even 4 years to master the different phases for him to become a consistent sub 10 100-meter runner. Chris is a 400-meter guy. Allow him to run the 200 and 400 and be patient. It does not happen like that. It takes years of training. It takes years of getting your body in the kind of condition to be efficient enough to function at the level where he's required to run the times that people expect of him.
Yeah, man. All right, so we covered that. In terms of the 4 hurdles, not much firepower in that one.
Not at all. Jahil 49.3. He's run 48.8 last year. I don't see anybody else who is going to be challenging. Look, Carson Varholm is injured, so Alison Dos Santos is clearly the man to beat this year. 47.2s. We haven't seen anything from Samba. We haven't seen anything much from Kara McMaster from the BVI. We haven't seen anything much from Rai Benjamin, who I think was hurt early part of the season. So maybe we're back to a 47 high, 48 low era for the time being until those guys get back healthy. But until that happens, we need somebody to be able to run 48 zeros or 47 highs to be in the conversation, any at all. And right now, I don't see anybody, including Jail Hyde. I mean, Jail, as I said, run 48.18 last year, but we haven't seen him come back. So maybe we'll see that this weekend or something close to that this weekend. If that's the case, well, we can wish him the best of going into the World Championships. But whether or not he'll be a factor, I don't think so.
All right, so people, I know the comments are coming in, but please forgive me if I'm not reading all the comments. It's just that they're coming in real quick. I want to hear the guru speak on these events. But there's a comment that came in that grabs my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree about Taylor. He runs the 100 meter in 10-1 with ease without mastering the phases.
I don't know who made that comment, but what do you call ease?
Fabian Gunner.
Yeah, what do you call ease? Listen, breaking the sub 10 barrier is not as easy as you all think it is. Huh? You have to master the different phases of the race to even be considered. Look, let me give you a sense of how difficult it is to break sub 10. Usain Bolt has only done it 47 times in his career. Okay, Asafa world record was at 97. When you look at the fastest men in history, they're ranked from between 27 to, of course, Asafa's 97. But how many other people have done that? Christopher Taylor has run 10-1, that was it, 10-1-3 or 10-1 for a few years ago when he was at Calabar. You see that tenth of a second? That tenth of a second requires a certain level of efficiency across all phases for you to get to sub 10. Right? And that's we're talking about 999 here, not 98, not
And
97.
Leighton,
Yeah?
he ran 10-1 in high school. And then he came back just the other day and ran a 10-1 again. What
Yeah.
does that tell?
It's look, this is not the 1970s when people used to run 10s and everybody figures them fast. Remember, 1976, Donald Quarry ran 10.06 and was equaling the world record that year going into the Olympics. You run 10.06 now, you cannot get into Olympic final or World Championship final. So, Christopher Taylor, what you call 10-1 with ease, I think you need to rethink that, because this is an era where you can run 999 and not make the second round of the competition, right? So what you call ease is what Christopher Taylor calls tremendous pain, because that's what it requires to get to that level of efficiency. And it might look like only a tenth of a second, but the 100 is measured in fractions of a second, okay? Between 10 seconds flat and 9:58 is only 0.42 seconds, okay? Less than half a second. How many people have done that? Think about that. Only one man in history have run 9.58. And it's less than half a second from 10 flat. Put that into context and understand how difficult it is to break 10 seconds. So in your mind, Christopher Taylor's ease at running 10-1 is not ease. It's not even close to being easy. It's a lot of effort to get to 10-1, right? And to get from 10-1 to 10 flat, that requires a lot of work, and to do it consistently requires even more work. And then to get from 10 flat to 9.9 is a whole bunch of other work, right? You have to get all the different phases right: the start, the acceleration, the speed maintenance. Because once you get to 60s, when you hit the top speed, you can't go no faster. So it's about holding the speed from 60 to the 100. So that makes the difference. It's about maintaining your speed. So the ease at which you're talking about is only in your mind alone, my friend. Sorry, but it's not as easy as it seems. Huh? And even if it does, look, and even if Christopher Taylor does get to sub 10, 999 or 998, where is he going to go with that time? The world lead right now is what? 975. Oblique 7 has run 986. My brethren from Africa run 985. Akeem Blake has run, well, he ran 992 but was disqualified, so that was the time, but 995. Christopher Taylor can't beat any of those people. So how is he going to get any team? And we're not even talking about the other guys who are there somewhere between 97 and 990. Where is he going to go with 999 or 998? You know, we have to put things in perspective, huh? Christopher Taylor's a better shot at the 400 than he does at 100 at any day of the week.
Yeah. Question. Sprint Fox, you big up yourself. He said, ask Johan Blake how hard it is based on his races this season.
Exactly. A man who's run 969, huh?
Exactly. All right. So what are the events that many track and field enthusiasts would want to see this weekend? Is the 800 meters with Navaski Anderson and Javon Blake.
Yeah.
What say you?
No contest. Look,
I'm not talking about the contest. It's a matter of Javon reaching that.
145.
Is it sub 47?
Yeah, look, there are a bunch of guys. There are about 6 Jamaicans who are in the 146 range, from 147 to about 146.4, I think, in that range. Navaski Anderson is at 145.02. He's a second better than everybody else in that bunch. Right? And if you saw him at the NCAAs, I mean, I had a chat with him today. You know, NCAAs, he ran 145.02 for second, which of course makes him the new national record holder, breaking Seymour Newman's record from 1977. And makes him right now the fastest ever Jamaican over the distance. Spoke to him today. He's fresh. He's ready for run. and of course his training obviously allows him to. I think he's gonna, if he's pushed this weekend, which I doubt, he'll run 144 because I think he was this close to that 144 last
Yeah, I
weekend
think
at
the
NCAA.
leaning
Yeah,
that he was leaning to pass at athlete, I think that
yeah,
took
he was
away.
trying to get into second and
Yeah,
and
man.
and to the, so it leaning forward, kept his knees down, and then, had he kept upright a little bit more. And of course, I understand the desperation.
Yes, yes.
He could have probably run 144.97, 144.95 in that range. So he is ready. I think he's ready to run 144. I just don't think any other Jamaican 800-meter runner right now is ready for that level of performance just yet. But it's very encouraging to see the number of athletes that we've had now who are broaching that that one, getting to the level where they actually can actually think about getting below 146, which then puts them into that category just below elite. Because for me, elite is from anywhere from 141 to 144. I think Navaski is right there. The rest of them is just a level below. But I think, as he said to me today, that he hopes to be able to lead those guys into an era where we're having many guys running 145s and getting probably to 144. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think people forget, Arthur Wint won an Olympic medal at the 800 meters, and we had that potential for many, many years. I mean, Neville Martin record is still there from the 1960s. Seymour Newman's record was a 45-year-old record. We've seen so many Jamaicans run 140, 145 twos, 145 fours, 145 sevens, but nobody's actually come close to that 145 flat, 144 barrier. And I think Navaski Anderson is the guy that's going to do it. Whether he does it at the trials this weekend or at the World Championships, I think he's going to break that barrier, which should break the ceiling for a lot of Jamaican 800-meter runners. Because he said to me when I interviewed him after in May when he won the conference, the regionals. That was the conference. It was conference, yeah. He said to me that he wants to revolutionize Jamaica's 800-meter running, and based on what we've seen from him so far, it's not just small talk from him. He really means to do it. And I think right now, based on the times that we've seen from him this season, 145.8 come down to 145.02 tells you that he's serious. And I think it's just a matter of whether or not he can actually pull some of the other guys to maybe 145.9 this weekend
Mm-hmm.
because of how good he is. It,
Right,
it will be
right.
nice to see, but I think he's going to be so good this weekend in front of his home crowd, and hopefully he'll pull some people along with him as well. Because as you know, the world standard is 145.21. He's the only person who's even close to it this year. So hopefully he will be able to probably pull some of those guys to that level and have maybe more than one person qualify for the World Championships in the summer.
Yeah, man, that's true. Um, Brain Drain with a super chat from how long? Just reading it. Oblique Civilian Chris Taylor. Let's go. Vamos. That man is a Calabar man, So
Yep. I think
so
Oblique
yeah.
is going to do something special this weekend, notwithstanding the previous arguments about peaking. I think 9.86 that we saw from him, and based on the reports that I'm getting from training, I would not be surprised if, you know, 980, 979 comes out of it this weekend. And when once Mills tapers him, maybe even faster than that, you know, in Oregon, because I think when I saw that 986 at the National Stadium and the start was not great, I knew that there's a 97 in there somewhere. And remember, he was still loaded at that part of the early May, so because it was nowhere close to June. So it is not implausible to believe that Oblique Seville could come and do something exciting this weekend.
He's gonna be very dangerous. So that's
Oh
all I
yeah,
would say.
oh yeah.
All right, people, big up yourself again. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being on the stream. And please remember to hit that like button. I might not be able to read all the comments because we want to get all the predictions in before we start to run through the comments. Stan Cranky is saying that it's good to see we are coming outside of the 1 to 4. and being a little bit more serious when it comes on to the 800 meter. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Absolutely.
And with that said, since we started with the 100 for the women, let us just start with the 800 and go back right down. So Latoya Ghoul, I think she has have some challenges in her. For me, this is my observation.
Mm.
Her race plan, execution, how she paces herself, and so forth.
Mm.
However, she has one former quarter mile, I can say, Chrisan Gordon. Is it
Mm-hmm.
Gooden? Is her married name?
Powell.
Powell.
Mm.
Sorry, yes. She will be joining her in the 800 meters. A
Yep.
lot of people are saying it is a good move by Chrisan, and it will also enable Natoya to, do a little bit better over the 800 meter. Predict that 800 meter, and what are your thoughts on this move from Chrisan?
Well, when I spoke to Christian earlier this year, and she told me that she was going to run the 4 and the 8 this season. I was really pleased because, look, remember she won the NCAA championships in her final year at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things with her is that she running running the 400 for her has caused her a lot of injury issues. Um, and she was at Lance Brahman's camp. She's no longer there, training on her own with her own coach and everything. Um, she came to trials last 2 seasons. She came to trials. She got hurt, So I think the 800 probably is a better option for her because it's less a less explosive event. So the likelihood of those kind of muscle injuries gets minimized. She's won 159 this season. I don't think she'll challenge Natalia because I think, notwithstanding the challenges that we've seen Natalia have at the international level, where she doesn't seem to be able to formulate a proper race plan because she tries running from behind and she gets outrun. She tries leading up front and she gets outpaced down the stretch. So I don't know what plan Mark Elliott has for her this year in terms of what kind of strategies that she's going to employ because when you look at I think Moo and British girl whose name I can't remember right now, Keely Hodgkinson. You're looking at those two ladies for me have the top 2 spots locked up.
Yeah, Keely is the
So
truth, I
yeah,
believe
man,
Keely is the truth.
yeah, man, Keely is really really good, and she's only 20. I think she just turned 20 or still 19. So everybody else has run for 1 spot. Natalia, I think, um, beyond strategy, I think Natalia doesn't have the mental toughness to battle through um, against these ladies who are clearly superior in speed. I mean, I think Moo is a 49.5 400-meter runner. Keely is a 51 runner. Nataya's run 52. She's run 52 1, 52.16, I think she ran the season. What it is for me, I just don't understand why is it that if she tries to stay up front with the leaders, the race leaders, and then in the last 150 she gets outpaced. The minute you see her head go back and her teeth start to show, she
Yeah,
did. She tried so far this season. We see her try running from behind, but she doesn't have the speed to match these ladies down the stretch. So I don't know what kind of strategy she and Mark Elliott will have to come up with for her to be competitive in the finals. I mean, she's making the finals, which is a good step forward. But once she gets there, she's not able to then, be competitive. Um, but for the national championships, of course, she's going to win. But I think Christian can probably push her for the first 600 for this year, and then maybe next year onwards because that's why he's not getting any younger. So, but I like the idea that Christian is taking up the 800 because with her 400 speed, I think once she gets the endurance part of the strength and the strength endurance parts right, I think she can probably be as good as Natalia 156.15, or somewhere in that region that would make her competitive at the global level.
yeah, man. All right, so that's if 800 similar to the 800. We talk about the 4 hurdles that whenever we're training these individuals, we target the same energy system.
Mm.
So 400 hurdles, I believe is gonna be a hot one. Anjanette Knight, I
Oh
have her
yeah,
in my top 3.
I have her to
Uh,
win.
Cheyenne Salmon.
Come on. Yep.
Rochelle Clayton.
Coming back to form after injury.
What's our friend there from
Genevieve
Jelly
Russell. Yeah, man.
Russell?
Jellyfish looking good again this year.
She's looking good, yes.
Mm.
And who is that other person?
There is what's her name from over GC Foster? Well, used to be at GC Foster. Rhonda White.
Rhonda White.
Mm.
So it's still a good enough field
Yeah, man. I think
to go into that 400-meter hurdles.
yeah, for real. And I think. Well, ask the question. Sorry.
What say you in terms of, I hear you say you have Anjanette as the winner. I think she's poised, honestly, to take it. I said top 3 because I didn't want to just go out on the limb.
Yeah.
But you said it. I have her as my top finisher.
Yeah, man. She's 25 years old, huh? And she's training with Delilah Muhammad's camp.
Yes.
And based on the reports that I'm hearing, they're expecting her to run 52 this year, which is going to be where you need to be in the conversation. Because when you look at Femke Ball, 52.61 in her last race, Sydney McLaughlin opens up with 51.61. And we know Delilah Muhammad and Shamir Little are going to come hard this year, right? So you have to be running 52s, not even 53s, 52s to be in the conversation. And right now, the only Jamaican woman I see capable of that right now is Anjanette Knight. And when I saw her in that meet, we were sitting around 51.61. That 53.3 that she ran, people forget when she started her season, she opened up with 55.39, lowered it to 54.39, and it went down to 53.39. So I expect her to come to these championships probably in a 52 shape, with the possibility of going even faster. I think Jellyfish and Rochelle look really good. Rochelle coming back from that hamstring injury that kept her out for most of last season. So it's gonna be competitive because I think Sharon Salmon is somebody you can't sneeze at either. And she's one of the things with her is that I think she's a confident runner. She runs with the belief that she can actually win, which is a big difference from running just to make up numbers. So I think for me, Anjanette is my favorite to win. I think Jellyfish hasn't made a championship team as an individual since 2015, I think this is probably the year she does it again because she looked really good the last 2 meets that I've seen her run. But so it's going to be, I think it's going on between her, Rochelle Clayton, and Sharon Salmon, and possibly Rhonda. I haven't seen Rhonda much this season, but she's no longer at Sprintex. So I don't know, what her program looks like. But I think it's going to be a bang-up finish for those other two places for the 400-meter hurdle. But I think for me right now, Anjanette Knight is my heavy favorite, and probably expecting her to run either 53 low or 52 high at the champion this weekend, if is required from her. Because if she's a couple of seconds ahead of the rest of the field, I don't know if they're going to push her to go that fast. Which I think she'll probably go as fast as she needs to win. And then depending on what her coach tells her, is going to be necessary to get on that team. So, but Anjanette Knight is my favorite. If I have to pick a top 3 right now, I'd probably go with Rochelle Clayton third, Jellyfish second, Anjanette Knight as the winner.
Right. All right. Cool. Not a bad prediction. All right. Women's 400 meters. I think that one is also going to be
sweet.
A sweet one, like you say.
Yeah, man, sweet.
Trust me. You have the likes of Cherokee Young from Texas, Stacey Williams from University of Texas,
50.18, 50.38, Stephanie McPherson, Tiffany James,
Ronisha McGregor, Jonil Brumfield.
Oh, what Oakley first name again?
Oakley?
Yeah, she ran 51.6 so far this year, I think.
I'm not seeing her name there.
She not in the 400?
Unless there's a revised list.
Yeah, maybe. But I think...
And Shine looks like she's doubling as well.
Well, that could be too, but that even make it even more exciting. I think I think it's going to be a very competitive race. Final, that is. Stephanie Mcpherson had an injury earlier this season, so I think she's still a little behind. But I still think she's good enough to make the top three. I think, based on what I've seen from Candice McLeod so far this season, tells me, well, for me, she's my favorite to win.
Who is that?
Candice McLeod.
I have a different winner.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think Cherokee and Stacey and Williams are going to be in the mix. Primarily because they've been in good form and consistently in good form this season. 50.65 for Cherokee at the NCAAs. Stacey ran 50.18 in the semifinals. I think they're going to come in similar form because NCAAs was just a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be a bang up. I think it's going to be even more keenly contested than it was last year. I think if anybody breaks 50, it's going to be Candice McLeod and possibly
Steph.
And probably Steph with Cherokee in the mix somewhere, because I think Cherokee has finally figured out how to run the 400 better than last year. And when you look at the times, I mean the 49, the 49.87 is the outlier. But if you look at her times across the season, she's been consistently at 50 points, and which tells me that she's probably in the kind of shape that she's going to contend for her place in the top three. So, but it's going to be very competitive, and I think it probably will be one of the more exciting races at the trials this weekend. Because I think it probably be just semifinals and finals, which means that the ladies just going to have probably run 2 races over 3 days, which makes it they're going to be coming into that finals on Sunday fresh, and you expect some good times.
Yes, absolutely. My winner is Steph.
Yeah.
Candice second, and if she wins, I know she's in good shape, right? So I have nothing to say about if she wins. For third, it is between Stacey and Cherokee, and I'm giving Cherokee the edge.
Yeah, me too. If it comes down to that, I'll get Cherokee. I think Cherokee this year also, in addition to her consistency, I think she's stronger this year than she was last year, especially coming home. If you realize last year she was outrun down the stretch a number of times at conference and at nationals, which was fifth. I think she was at fifth at nationals, sixth at nationals last year. This year, notwithstanding the winner of Washington again from Florida, Cherokee was strong in finishing in 50.6. So I think I'd give her the edge to make top 3 as well.
Yeah, man, definitely. 200 meters. Wow. Humdinger. Mouth-watering. This is going to be epic. Elaine Thompson era. Shericka Jackson. Shelly and Fraser Price. Kevona Davis. Natalia White. Brianna Williams. Ashanti Moore. Natasha Morrison. Dominique Clark. Shasha Lee Forbes. Joanne Reed, Burchell, Leah Anderson, Jodine Williams, Shauna K. Pierce, Cheyenne Hyde, Leonie Smith, Crystal Slowly, Giselle Scarlett, Kadisha Dallas, Michelle Ariat.
Yep. And the top 3 go to my top 3 for trials is Shericka Jackson, Elaine Thompson Hera, and Shelly and Fraser Price. That's just what it is. I mean, Kevona has run 22.2 this year. Brianna opened at 22.8, but then hasn't run much since that time, over 200. I think Ramona Burchell, I think she has a better shot at making the relay squad as opposed to the 200 meters. She's in good shape, and she's been consistently running 11.1s all season. She told me a couple of weeks ago that her issue this season has been just putting the different phases of her race together. And I told her to just stop thinking about it, and just the phases just will come together because she practices them every day. But when you think about it too much, it's understandable in her case because after she won the NCAA title in 2015, she's been injured for like 7 years in a row. So I understand her lack of confidence, but clearly her speed is back this year. She's been consistent at 11.13, 11.15, 11.17, which suggests that she could probably be a good for 22.5 for 200. But 22s are not going to cut it, I don't think, at this trials
Mm-hmm.
this weekend. Um, I think Shelly is in shape to run 2021. I think Sherika is already running 21.9. She ran a couple of weeks ago. And I think Elaine is going to be there as well because Elaine wants to get there to win another gold medal in the 200 if she can. So I think those are the top three. Whether or not Shelly decides to run the 200 is again up in the air because then I think what the outcome of the 200 at the trials this weekend will, I think, determine whether or not she decides to run the 200 because I don't think she wants to end up finishing fourth again, despite the fact that there is no Mboma this year, but there is Gabby Thomas, there
China.
is Abby Steiner, there is Ophelia from Nigeria. There are a number of women this year who are running fast that could bump Shelly out of a spot in on the podium in the final because the 200 is not our event and because the 100 would have taken a lot out of our legs and the two rounds of the 200 prior to the finals. As we saw last year, she ran 2021 and came fourth. So I think what we'll see this weekend is depending on how she feels after the 200, I think will determine whether or not she decides to run it in Oregon, which means that there'll be a spot up, could be a spot up for
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. I think Kibona Davis right now looks like likely person for that slot.
Yeah.
Brianna Williams has been inconsistent, but the thing is that with Brianna is, and a lot of people have been talking about her inconsistency in performances this year, is that a lot of the times when she's been racing under heavy load with tired legs because they're doing a lot of heavy work to preparing her for the championships because they want to be on that 100-meter team, and she knows that it's going to require somewhere in the region of 10-8 to get on that team, even if it's top four, because um, Sherika and Elaine are going to be spitting 10.7s, and then now it's down between she, Kevona, um, Kemba, Natalia. A whole bunch of people are vying for that additional spot. So it's going to be really competitive. So I think we're going to see some good races in both events, and the 200 will be really competitive. And I hope Kevona comes healthy and in shape because I was very pleased with her performances this year because a lot of people have criticized the young lady as if to say she has get up and run fast, not understanding that it requires a lot of work to get. When you change countries, new environment, new people, new coaching program, getting used to the idea of being on your own when you're used to having your own support system around you. It takes a while for you to adjust. And in addition to handling a new coaching program, which your body have get accustomed to as well. And see, 10 8 this year, 22 twos, finally, she's getting to the point where her body is beginning to respond to the training program. We need to give
So
the kids time.
adaptation is taking place.
Yeah, so we need to give the kids time to adapt to the new environments and to the new programs. Just get up and run faster because you can run fast. It requires a certain amount of adaptation, as you mentioned, rightly, descriptively mentioned. And of course, she's beginning to now fulfill what we know she's capable of. So if she comes to the trials this weekend and is able to stay fresh, notwithstanding the season that she's had prior to, I think both the 100 and 200 for women are going to be really, really competitive.
All right, that is so true. And oh, you gave your prediction already.
Yeah.
All right. Over to the 100 meters. But before we go over to the 100 meters for women, persons are quote unquote. I think this is my theory why Shelly has opted to do both the one and two. I think they want to make a decision if she's the double.
Hmm.
So being at the Jamaican trial, which is very competitive. You have world-class athletes there. She'll be
Mm-hmm.
going through the rounds doing the 2 events.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they want to know what will transpire going up against these top athletes at the end of the trials. What is the decision? What should we do after discussion and deliberation? So I think
Agreed.
that's one of the reasons why they, her team, they would have decided to do the double at the trials just to know if she can hold up in terms of at the championship based on how she finished as well.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I think, and I agree with you entirely. I just don't think she's going to run the 100-meter final. I think
Yeah.
she run the first run on the semifinal, and then opt out of the final and then run the 200, and then
Mm-hmm.
see where her body is because she's going to have to run 2 rounds of the 200 as well. And I think that gauge will tell her,
Yes.
where she's at in terms of whether or not her body can handle that load um, in Oregon because she's 35 and she's run sparingly so far this season, and I think
Mm-hmm.
um, the fact that she's run 200 and run 1067 both times tells me that she's probably getting into the kind of shape to run 10.5 in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And means that whoever wins that race is going to have to run 10.5 to beat her. And there's only one woman I think who can do that this year. Um, for the 200, Shelly doesn't like the 200. We know this. And last year she ran her guts out and was upstaged by a young Mboma who is, came through and ran 21:81, I think it was, or 21:79. I don't remember exactly what time it was. But certainly she got the better of Gabby Thomas as well. Gabby Thomas is also stronger this year and faster this year. Abby Steiner 21:8, notwithstanding 40 odd races in her legs so far this season from the NCAA season, which to me is incredible. Um, and then you have a couple of other contenders go to the US, and of course, as I mentioned, um, the Ophelia from Nigeria who's run 21 so far this season. Um, so Shelly might wear some of those things and recognize that she might run 21 again and finish off the podium again. And I don't think her competitive nature will allow her to want to end up off the podium in the 200 in another year. So I think come Sunday, when she sits down and say, how my body feel, she'll probably say, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Are we not going to do this and we're going to do that? I think she's probably going to not run the 200. I think she's going to go for a fifth 100-meter world title and call it George, and of course go for the relay gold as well.
Right. Agreed. Somebody's saying that she's gonna take an athlete chance away from them by leaving a lane open in the 100-meter final.
No, she won't.
Um, you're saying
No, she won't. I don't think she will take away somebody's place. Only three
no?
people can go. Eh?
Basically, what the person is saying, Joel Thomas, if she runs and don't show up for the final, an athlete who could have advanced if she wasn't there lose that opportunity.
No. Oh, the person who finishes just outside that window on that bubble gets put into the final. All right. So
You
let me say, there's 3 semifinals, right? The top 2 plus the next 2 fastest
next
times,
2 fastest, right?
right? So Shelly runs the semifinal and wins our semifinal or comes second, whatever she chooses to do, because she has that option of choosing to do anything what she wants to do.
So the next fastest person
So
will
the,
be
so the next
upgraded.
fastest time just advances. I don't
Mhm.
think she robs anybody of a spot. It's not like the days when you have top 4. And even if it was top 4, she pull out the person who came 5th, automatically fills in.
Right, right.
Yeah, I
And if
don't
she
think.
comes third, she pull out the person who came fourth is gonna
But
up.
yeah,
So it's as easy as ABC.
yep.
All right. So the listing for the 100 meters, and this probably could be subject to change
Mm-hmm.
because there might be changes. Elaine Thompson era, Shelly and Fraser Price, Sherika Jackson, Kevona Davis, Kemba Nelson, Natalia White, Brianna Williams, Natasha Morrison, Shakura Wallace, Ramona Burchell, Shimara Williams, Ashanti Moore, Sasha Lee Forbes, Kashika Cameron, Dominique Clark, Kiara Grant run a very fast 11-2.
Yeah.
Brandy Hall, Jodine Williams, Worry Njadu. Oh,
I mentioned Shakoria Wallace already.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne Hyde, Kristanana Williams. She's running unattached. I suspect she's not with Tumbleweed again.
No, she's not.
Joanne Reed, Johnny Hill Smith.
Johnny
Jura
entered good.
Levy, Leah Anderson, Crystal Slowly, Michael Moody, Giselle Scarlett, Leah Smith, Shanique Malcolm, Michelle Arrett, 32.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I'm glad to hear that Janelle has entered, because I spoke to her a couple of months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she was hoping to be at trials. And I told her that when she comes trials, maybe I'll get the first interview with her, because, as you know, she had an accident a couple of years ago and that she had required back surgery. And I think it had been affecting her progress, because, as you know, she ran, I think she ran 2 races last year, 200s, and one of them she backed out at 50, at about 150, and just cruised home. And I don't recall her running any races so far this year. I can't recall seeing her anywhere. So these would probably be her first races for the season. But it's good that she's coming, because I mean, you remember 2019, Johnny was part of that 4x1, that one goal at the World Championship in Doha. She had Natalia White. Natalia White has since left MVP International and gone on to Tumbleweed. She run 1090, was it 1096 or 1097 this season?
1097.
Right, so both of them, is good first of all that they're back, contending for a spot, and I'm curious as to what Janelle does, because I really think that she has the potential to be really, really good, and that accident, I think that back injury has really robbed her of 2 years, so I'm hoping that she comes and runs well. Natalia, similarly, I'm hoping that she comes here and does something special as well. Which is one of the reasons why I think the 100 is going to be really competitive. And if some of the people who are expected to make it through don't focus and pull their socks up, so to speak, they could find themselves on the outside looking in, because, as you just mentioned, it's 32 women, and about 15 of those women I think are going to be really, really competitive. I think Natasha Morrison, I think Shakoria Wallace. I mean, I saw her a couple of weeks ago and she looked really, really good. And Frano already, so she's gonna come ready to run fast.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks a lot stronger this year. When I looked at her core this year, she looks her abs and her lower back look like a fitness athlete, a bodybuilder. Her core looks really stable and strong, which tells me that she's ready to keep those knees up all through the tape and going beyond the tape. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shakoria Wallace runs sub 11. I wouldn't be surprised if she does something spectacular, even, because I think for somebody doing this for just 5 years.
Yeah, she has a young training age. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, she has really been remarkable. So she could probably spring a surprise. I mean, it's going to be really competitive, because when you look at Kimba, you look at Natalia, you look at Kevona, you look at Brianna, this is probably one of the deepest 100-meter women's fields we've ever had, period.
What about Ramona?
Ramona Birchall, remember I mentioned her before. I said she's been consistently good. She's been running 11-1s all season, and she had mentioned to me that she couldn't put her biggest issue this year, that she can't seem to put the phases of a race together. And I simply said to her, just don't think about it, just run the phases. And you practice the different phases. One of the things that sometimes we overthink things and it slows us down mentally, because when we communicate those things to our body, that pause pauses everything else, and then it slows us down. I think she does. She just needs to go another race and say, okay, phase 1, 1, 2, 3 step, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, transition, accelerate, hold it, finish. So I think if she does that, I think she will also be very close to the 11-second barrier as well. I think the consistency that she's shown this season suggests that she's likely to be in that range, 10-9, 11 flat, 11-0 something. which is where I think most of those other women are going to be, which is going to
Yes.
make it so competitive. We could actually see a blanket finish in the final.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the top three, I think we could see a blanket finish.
Yeah, man. And when you look at the phases of the races, you can think about it so much that your mind is probably doing it, but your legs and your arms need to be
Not
involved.
responding.
And if
Yeah,
that is not happening, then the phases would have been still null and void. You know what I
yep.
mean?
You have to just run. You have to just get up. You know what the phases are.
Mm-hmm.
You know those first three steps are crucial.
Yeah.
You know the next 15 steps are crucial as well in terms of getting to that
Yeah.
transition
The
from the drive
acceleration.
phase to acceleration. You know what you have to do. Start, lift your hips, extend
Keep
your
high.
stride,
Yeah.
yeah, and drive through that acceleration phase, and then relax and hold that speed for the last 30 to 40 meters. So you know what the phases are. Just she needs to just trust herself because she trains that way. So if she trusts herself, the phases will fall into place.
It's just execution. What we
Yeah,
normally tell the athletes just to trust the process.
yeah,
You have to trust the process. Don't overthink it because it's all about execution.
yep,
Once you execute, because you could be doing the execution in training, but it comes into a competitive um setup. It's a different thing.
yeah, because the adrenaline
Because you
factor
look to your
comes in.
left, you look to your right, you're looking
Mm,
at some 10-7 and 10-6 and 10-5 athletes. You know
yep,
what I mean? But it's just to go out there and execute. I would agree with you that this 100-meter after top three could be blanket. You know
yeah,
what I
man.
mean? Very, very, very close. So let's hear the top three.
For the 100, all
Mm-hmm.
right. So we're taking Shelly out because she's already qualified. So my top three would be Sharika, Elaine, and Brianna slash Kevona.
So like they're your favorite, you know.
because I can't. So I've been thinking about both of them for the last 2 weeks or so, and I think Kevona has gone a little bit ahead of Brianna now in terms of her speed, and but I think in terms of the competitive edge, I think Brianna has that advantage still. I think Kemba's phases makes her vulnerable. Um, Kemba will get her drive phase right today, and tomorrow it's complete mess.
So it's consistency for her.
Yeah, so that inconsistency for me makes her vulnerable to a Brianna who is more consistently a better starter. That first 40 for Brianna is almost as good as Shelly, or in fact, almost as good as Shelly. Yeah. And I think Kevona's acceleration and her eventual, what people call top end speed, I think gives her an advantage there. So I think if I'd probably give both of those ladies edge over Kemba. Um, but then again, that is to completely ignore Natalia, who is, if she gets her race right, none of them are gonna beat her. That's the thing. So
And that's just the raw facts.
yeah, so the reality is that it's a blanket finish. I visualize a blanket finish for that third spot. But Kevo, but Elaine and Sharika, I think, are going to be miles clear of the
But
rest of the
was
field.
it the order you called it in? You said Sharika, Elaine.
Um,
Was that the order?
no, I just picked them
I
randomly.
just picked them right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If you want to pick them in order, I will say that I think Elaine will win, and Sharika will come second because I think last year Elaine's Achilles was giving her a warm time, literally hours leading up to the national championships,
Yes.
to the point where she could barely walk. This year, the issue is not as bad. I mean, the shoulder injury is an issue, yeah, because the rotator cuff injury, which, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
rotator cuff is really painful.
Which is a big muscle that you use to swing.
Yeah. So I just think Elaine is too fast, and I think she's gonna probably run 10-7 before she starts to taper, and Sharika will be second, and then everybody else after that.
It would be it's gonna be a tough
Yep,
third place finish.
yep.
Trust me.
It's
I
gonna
would
be
I would I would I would hasten to say though, it's who wants it most and who go out there and execute.
executes best. Yeah, that's good. We're going to come
Mm-hmm.
down to. You can't. Anybody who get tight in that last 30 get less. That's all I can tell you. Can't afford to get tight this at all. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, I'm and this is not to disrespect the likes of a Natasha Morrison, who we know is capable of sub 11 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is just that for me, one of the things that disappoints me about Natasha, I love her to death. But one of the things that disappoints me about Natasha is that when it comes down to the crunch, a lot of times she just disappears. I don't know why. She will run right up to the semifinal, and then in the final she just don't seem to bring it, because I
Yeah.
think she's really talented. I mean, when you look at how this girl runs, remember the 10 when she ran the 10:95 when Shelly ran 10:63 last year. You
Mm-hmm.
remember how good Natasha looked, and she got
Yes.
trials, and she looked good for the first two rounds, and then the final she just
Fade.
disappeared. I
Mm-hmm.
I hope she's able to turn that around, because I love to see her on the team as an individual, not just as a member of the relay squad. Because I tell you, I really like her as a sprinter. So I'd love to see her in the mix as well. But it's gonna be ridiculous. I think it's possible that something like 0.05 seconds can separate third to fifth or sixth at trials. That's what I visualize.
But they need to increase the amount of entrance.
Probably. Probably.
Because trust me, we have a reservoir of talent in Jamaica here.
Yeah,
But
boy.
Barry 87 dropped a comment. He's saying that Kevona Start needs a lot of work. We saw her performance at the NCAAs.
Hmm.
She surges at the end, but the first 40 is the issue. Brianna
Hmm.
and Kemba has a better start and can hang on. Do you think that will be a deterrent for her,
No,
especially
but
in a big field like this?
no, because I think Kibuna's closing speed, as the person who commented just mentioned, is a difference maker. Of the three that we just mentioned, Kibuna, Kemba, and Brianna, I think Kibuna is the best closer, primarily because of her 200-meter work, where she's able to run 22 twos. Her I think if she's within touching distance at 60, 65, she's gonna surge past all of them, and that's why she ran 10. She ran what was it 10:83? Yeah, it was winded, but 10:8 is 10:8. It's just that's what's the reality of it. You know, Kemba is still a 10:9 athlete. Brianna is still a 10:9 athlete, even though based on what I'm hearing, they're expecting 10 years from her at trials, because they recognize that that's going to be required for her to get onto the team. So, but and of course, Brenna has been she ran a couple of 200 this year, and she's been running some 400s in practice as well. So, but Kevon, you can't. I mean, her start is not great, but I think what I see from Kevon so far this season is very encouraging about how she can close a race, especially if it's close.
All right. High jump, triple jump, long jump.
High jump.
You think we have a chance at Worlds with those competitors?
Um, 196 and 193 from Distin and Kimberly Williamson suggest that they probably will be finalists. But as we've seen in the last couple of Diamond League meets, you need to get to 198 and 2 meters to be among the contenders for medals. Maybe Distin is in that kind of shape because she's been consistently between 193 and 196 all season. In fact, I think she's lost one jump off at the NCAA level this year, and that was the Tyra Gittings, where Tyra jumped 195 and she was at 193. But um, Distin has jumped 196 national record, by the way, or 197. Was it 197? I don't remember. But she broke the national record twice outdoors, and she broke national record indoors. If any Jamaican woman is going to jump 2 meters this year, it would be her. And if she jumps 2 meters, she's in contention for a medal at Worlds. Um, the Europeans are, you know, the leaders. They're at 198 and 2 meters, 201. You know, but if Distin, I think Distin is very close to 2 meters. And if she can get there, she'll be a contender. Kimberly Williamson for me was refreshing this year. She'd been stuck at 1 meter 85 or 84 for years, and then 1 meter 93 this year puts her in an elite class of athletes. So that kind of confidence coming into trials, first of all, if she can repeat that performance and then take that into Worlds, who knows? It's a jump off. So, you know, on her day, maybe she jump 195 or 196 and end up on the podium along with Distin. You know, I can tell. The Europeans are a lot more consistent though, and of course Vashti Cunningham from the US, you know, them girls that jump 196 at the habit. So, but I think this is probably the best class of high jumpers, female high jumpers we've had for
All
a
right.
long, long while. And I think,
That's true.
you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something special. Long jump.
Yeah.
Shanice Porter, I know, is coming. She jumped 6 meters 70 this season, and she's had a number of 650s. I don't think she's jumped a lot in the last few weeks. I don't know what she'll produce. She should. I think she comes in today. So I'll try to catch up with her and find out what she's doing. But I don't know. I don't see where there's a lot of depth there this year for the women. The men, I don't know what I went wrong at Tennessee. I hear there's a change of coach there, but Pinnock he's only jumped 8 meters once this season, and Kerry McLeod, I don't know if the COVID that he had last year affected him anyway, but he hasn't looked the jumper that he was last year or the year before. So I guess we'll probably find out more come this weekend, because I don't think you need to be jumping over 8 meters 20. I'm not even sure Tajir Gale is that in that respect either. So I don't know how his knee is holding up in terms of practice. But I think it will be competitive, but I just don't know whether or not they'll be competitive enough to bring that to the world stage where they'll be contending for medals, especially when we're looking at Tengulu and you know a couple of the Europeans and a couple of the Cubans this year who are jumping out of them skin. You know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes. I've not seen Shanice on the in the list of the women's long jump. I see
No clue there.
James Brady, Tisana Icklin, Tisha Price. Oh yeah, she's there. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Akila Smith, Velisha Williams, Shante Foreman, Jodian Stewart, Melissa Walker, and Sachel Walters. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, cool. I see a question come up on your screen
Yes.
here about how do I feel about Shakari. No, I mean, Shakari is not a medal threat this year, probably because I think she spent the first part of the season battling with Jadiq Brown over kind of different issues. Her focus wasn't where it's supposed to be. I think she'll run 10.7 at the US trials, but I don't think that would be enough to get her on the podium in Oregon. Because I think there's a possibility that we're looking at 10.5, 10.5, 10.6 for the top three places. So Shakara might come fourth and run 10.7. But I don't see her as a medal threat this year. If she gets her stuff together next year, Worlds next year, she probably will be. Most likely will be. And going forward from there as well. Like, she seems to be in a better place now. She's not as angry and she's not as distracted. And so, 1085 that she ran a few weeks ago is encouraging for her. Suggests that she probably will be ready for around 1075 at the in Oregon at the World Championships. If she doesn't run that US trials, but I just don't think it's going to be good enough for her to get on the podium. If Sherika Jackson and Elena and Shelly come in the form that we expect them to, it's another 1, 2, 3 for Jamaica, I think.
Question: where are our deck athletes?
But you tell me, I don't have no idea, bro, because I think, I mean, we had Maurice Smith and we had a couple of ladies a few years back. I just don't think that event has attracted the quality athletes that it used to, not from the region certainly. And so that's an event for the right now that we're not looking at until somebody comes through or two people come through who will be contenders for a multi sport event.
Hassan is saying, I believe that it would be a great thing if Elaine and Brianna train together because of their contrasting running styles. They could help improve each other's weaknesses.
I don't know, maybe there's maybe some merit to that. I mean, if Elaine had Brianna start, Elaine run 10-5 every day. And there's no doubt about that.
Easily.
Easily. And Brianna could use some of Elaine's speed endurance near the end of the race because when most athletes are hitting their top speed, Elaine is still accelerating. So yeah, maybe there's some merit there. Maybe they could learn from each other. You know, and become stronger overall, both of them. You know, who knows? But I guess
All
it
right.
comes down to the coach. Eh?
A lot of the fans are saying that Coach Atto doesn't have any time for Brianna. Yeah.
That's
What
rubbish.
are your thoughts on it? Because it has been making the rounds
I know,
on
and
social media.
we keep hearing it every time Brianna runs a race and doesn't run up to
Mm-hmm.
expectations. We keep hearing that she needs a new coach. But I will just simply say this: since Atto has been coaching Brianna, she has run faster every single year without doubt. This year indoors, Brianna took her personal best from 7:18 down to 7:04. Um, the only thing that she hasn't improved upon yet is the 100-meter time, but 10:97 is our PB, and I think we'll see that this weekend. So, yeah, we like Kevona, like everybody else. People forget Brenna Williams just turned 20 in March. We need to be patient and understand that not everybody progresses at the same rate. That everybody progresses because different coaches have different systems. There are different levels of distractions for different athletes. There are different issues that they have in their personal lives that affect progress and focus. So Brianna is 20. She is learning. She is getting better. Give her a chance to develop like we saw happen with Kevona and with Kemba. Remember when Kemba was at MVP, she wasn't going anywhere, was she? And then she went to Oregon and boom, 10-9. We just need to be patient and give the athletes time to develop at their own pace and not at the pace at which we think they should develop.
All right. Before you answer that question on the screen,
Mm.
we missed out a very, very important event.
Which event is
The women's 100-meter hurdles. How could we?
that? Yeah, true. That's one of the events
It's
that
gonna be very, very, very epic and it's gonna
yep,
be very competitive.
yep, Brittany Anderson, Demisha Roswell, Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Williams, Megan Topper, Burnett, what's her name? Oh God, used to go to St. Andrews. That I think is coming to trials again. She was at trials last year, but she was a little bit heavy. We're looking at Crystal Morrison,
Crystal Morrison, Daniel
um,
Williams,
Williams. Yeah,
Megan
gonna be
Tapper.
competitive. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be very competitive. I think Brittany Anderson, based on what I've seen so far this season, I think she'll win national championships. I think Demisha Roswell, even though she didn't run well at NC's, I think she having run 12:44 this year, she's the fastest Jamaican woman in the world this year. Only Akira Nugent 12:45 is close to her, but Akira is not here because as I reported a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
She has tore a plantar fascia at regionals and is out. Decided to shut down her season. Meg has been inconsistent. She's had some issues um, that she's been trying to sort out. So I really don't know where she's at right now in terms of her, how sharp she is for trials. But I know she's coming in with a mentality that she'll be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna come down again to, as Akira Nugent said to me yesterday, expect the unexpected. I think I sent you a link to that story that I'd written yesterday about what Akira told me yesterday when I asked her who she thought was gonna come out on top. So but I know unless something bizarre happens, I think Brittany Anderson is definitely in. Daniel is only around 1261 so far this season. Megan 1281. Demisha 1244. Crystal Morrison 1269. Boy, I tell you.
What about Chimera Williams?
Um, I haven't seen much of her this season, so I don't know how to gauge her performance. She didn't look bad last year. Um, right now, I'd probably go with um, Demisha and Meg, or Demisha and Daniel.
What about Crystal?
1269 one. She hasn't, other than that, she's been 13 seconds for the most of the season, along with Trishana Hemmings and a couple of others. I think for you to be in the hunt for a spot, I think you need to be consistent below 13 seconds this year. And I don't think Crystal has been below 13 seconds once this season, 1269, which is a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she needed to be coming in running it at least 2 or 3 more times to get that kind of consistency. For first of all, for her own personal confidence, and in terms of her progress, in terms of you know the linear progression that you expect when somebody's consistent running at time, you kind of expect them to drop. With a little bit of lightning on the load, you expect them to drop a few fractions. That would make her down to 12.5 or 12.4s. Um, so for her, for that reason, I wouldn't put her in contention for a spot.
Melaine Walker.
I don't know. Million,
She's
I don't know.
training. I see her listed. Legacy Athletics.
Yeah. Million is 39 years old. I don't need to say no more about that. Sprint hurdler. I love Million to death. But I think that ship has sailed.
All right. Enough said.
uh, am I surprised by Shelly Ann's 10.6s at age 35? No. Merlin ran 10.74 her PB at 36, and she ran 21.64 at age 34. We keep telling ourselves that athletes can only run fast at a certain age. That philosophy has long gone through the door.
Yeah, through the window. It's all at
Be-
least take care of their bodies.
better training methods, better
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, better equipment, better understanding of what works for them in terms of how their bodies function. Shelly's efficiency right now over the 100. Shelly, right now, I feel like she can get up and run 10.6 whenever she wants, because that's how proficient she is right now in terms of her execution and everything. And I think I would be surprised to see Shelly run as fast for the next 2 years. Sorry, voice is beginning to go.
Yes.
Yeah, man, but Shelly is extraordinary. There used to be this myth that athletes don't get better after they leave MVP. Shelly, Megan, Jahil, and your others as well have proven that that is just a myth. That's no longer the case because
That
Shelly has gone
mental
from
barrier
10.
has been broken.
Yep, Shelly has gone from 10.7 to 10.6. She's become now only the second woman to run under 10.7 4 times along with Julian. Um, she is um, she is the greatest female sprinter of all time. Female sprinter at this up to this point.
A doctor in the chat is saying that you need some Loratadine. Lor- Loratadine.
I don't know. I don't know. My doctor says I should just ride out this thing because it's part of what comes after COVID. This cough that that persists for a few weeks, and they suggest no antibiotics because antibiotics can actually make it worse.
Listen, this question by Richard Stevens, our friend from over there in UK.
Mind games.
Yes.
Those mind games. I don't think there are any mind games anymore. I think what we're seeing from the two ladies is that both of them know exactly what they need to do to win, and they're both focused on getting that done. They're no longer in the same camp. They don't. They longer. I don't think they pay attention much to what each other is doing. At least not publicly. Um, I'm sure Elaine. I've seen Shelly's 267, 21067 so far, and knows what she needs to do. She's remember she has run 1054 and 1061. Her
Mm-hmm.
body hasn't forgotten how to do that,
Exactly.
and so I
One,
don't think.
she's still training.
And she's still training once she's healthy. I don't think Elaine worries much about anybody because she knows what what needs to be done to win. And Shelly, I think her program this year was designed for her to get out in front of Elaine and stay in front of Elaine. Well, that that whole philosophy is going to be tested come Oregon because Shelly will get out in front as she usually does. But we all know that when Elaine gets those legs turning over, there's hardly anything that gets in their way. So it's going to be very interesting to see how
Yeah,
they,
man,
you
it's
know,
gonna
how they.
be interesting.
Yep. So
Interesting.
yeah, so we'll see.
Any
Um,
yes, go ahead.
Let me just comment on something that I saw in the comment before about Glenn Mills saying that Obin
Yes.
Seville, but that's what we said earlier about the fact that based on what we're hearing, Obin could come to the trials and do something special. I did say that earlier this evening. So Glenn Mills is just validating what I opined earlier this evening.
All right. Anything special on the junior side? Brian
No,
Alliston,
I just
200,
looking
100,
to see what Brian
Serena.
Elliston and the Clayton twins do and Serena Cole. Um, I think among the boys, I think the usual suspects are going to be there for the because they're going for the World Under 20 Championships. I think my God, the my youth from Edwin Allen
Level.
level, right, and of course Krume, and I think 400-meter hurdler from Camperdown, whose name I can't remember right now. I think we're going to see. I think they're going to see them do enough to win at trials because I think Cali Columbia is in August, and I think they'll be ready. And I think they'll do something special. I think the world record in the 4x1 world record for the under 20 women will be broken again. It's unfortunate the last one was not ratified. Um, but I think the usual suspects are going to be the usual things. For the juniors, I don't think we're going to see any surprises there at all.
Is that one on the screen, Sir Layton?
Do you believe Brenda Lister will declare as a pro in the next 2 days? Why should she? She's 17 years old. She's still in high school. Um, she's not running times that are gonna beat anybody at the senior level. Why not finish high school and go college? She still be able to make progress and then still eventually go pro.
Some persons don't want it that route, Sir Layton.
I know, but based on the conversations that I've heard her have, her mom wants her to go pro, yes, but it all comes down to when. I don't think she needs to go pro now. I think she
Mm-hmm.
still has. I think she can go. Brianna Liston is where she's in what fifth form or sixth form at Heidel.
She should be in sixth form now.
All right, so she goes to university for a year or two, um, and then go pro. She'll be 19. You know, I don't have a problem with her not deciding to go pro. No, in fact, I'm gonna give a little insight. I'm writing this story tomorrow. I asked Akira Nugent yesterday whether or not she'd consider going pro as opposed to going back to school for her junior year at Baylor. And she said to me, she's run 12:45 once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she thinks she can get better. She go back to school and get better and get stronger, and then after she finish college, she can go pro.
Yeah, man. Akira will tell you that.
Yeah,
Akira will make that sort of a decision.
yeah. So I think that for me is a logical process for somebody like Brenna Liston. She doesn't lose anything by going to college. In fact, she gains by going to college. She gets that experience of competing against some of the best in the world at the collegiate level. She gets to toughen up. She gets to understand what is required to compete at a consistently high level. And if she gets the right college and the right coach, she might very well end up being a 21 second 200-meter runner by the time she's in her junior year. Then she
Mm-hmm.
can always go pro.
Yeah.
She's 22.5 now. That good time, very good time. But does it raise eyebrows? Does it get a sponsor to say, "Hey, we need to sign that girl"? I don't know. I don't think so. Not in today's landscape where virtually 60, 70 women are running 22s all year. Yeah, so yeah.
And somebody is saying that Brianna Liston can't win any form of medal if she goes pro. I see Brianna's fans are still a bit delusional. Let the girl run among her peers until she's ready to go pro. Stop rushing. I
Agreed
don't think
100.
the fans are rushing still.
Yeah, but I don't think she needs to go pro now. I think she has time on her side.
Mm-hmm.
She
All right.
doesn't turn 18 until later this year, doesn't she?
She's 18 already.
She just turned
May.
18. Yeah, she
Yes.
just turned 18. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Richard again. In terms of interest and quality, which event is bigger or more attractive? The national champs or a Diamond League event?
For national champs, it has to be the bigger event because that's where the local fans have their attention. The Diamond League, you probably see one or two of your athletes at the Diamond League on any given day. So for me, the national championships, in terms of interest, would be the bigger event. In terms of quality, however, probably the Diamond League is better because then you have athletes from all over the world, from the very best from everywhere coming together for one meet. But for the national championships, interest certainly, for me personally, national championships has more interest than the Diamond League.
She, Tego Paul is saying that she said she has a major announcement this week, and she alluded to the fact that that champs would have been her last champs.
Who?
Brianna Liston.
Well, yeah, maybe she's going to college. Maybe she's announcing where she's signing to college.
Mm-hmm. Possible.
Mm.
All right. Yeah, that's she said on her IG that champs was her last. Okay. Um, we have to be mindful of the guest. He is not well, he has kept up for over the time that we had agreed to. So I must say thanks to him. So I don't want to, you know, push the buttons.
Yeah, because you see what I go to.
Yeah, and see and see where that he's having these coughing now. Definitely. Yeah, we spoke about the men's 100-meter hurdle. Actually, those who are coming in late, we spoke about the men's event starting from the 100 to the 800, and the women from the 800 down to the 100 meters.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Brianna is 18, not 17.
Yep.
She turned 18 in May.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me read the super chat on screen. Daniel Holland. This name sounds familiar. Good evening, coach. I miss everything. What events Chris doing? And I heard
400.
about a young man run sub 10, not Blake nor Civil. Is that so? Gillespie or something? Do
No.
either of you know anything of this one or rumors? Sir
No.
Leighton, you want to talk about Gillespie, the 961 runner?
No, that's just foolishness. Somebody posts on social media. Uh, the only three Jamaicans that have gone under 10 seconds this year. That's Burnett 999, Oblique Seville 986, and of course Akeem Blake 995. Nobody else yet has gone under 10 seconds. Christopher Taylor, we spoke about that. He's only running the 400. Yeah, so the Gillespie thing is a hoax.
It's just a nice way to keep the fans that are not informed
Yeah,
with a possibility adrenaline rush, you know. But
yeah,
he's so far from. I think the kid is real though, but in terms
yeah,
of him running, nah,
yeah. Them
nah.
kind of
I think he tried track and field, but it probably never worked out. All right, so yes, people. So we're gonna be releasing Sir Levy right now.
Yep.
We want to say thank you, sir, for being here again and sharing your wealth of knowledge on track and field. And trust me, the the people have left with some knowledge and probably different ideology in terms of how they think about the whole scope where track and field is concerned. We
Yeah.
yeah, he gave his views on Natalia White. If they wink too hard, she will blow past them. In a nutshell,
Yeah.
right? Um, no, I think Burnett is injured. He won't be
That trials.
participating.
Yeah, he's
Season
out.
ending injury.
I think it's an Achilles. I think it was. I can't remember what it was.
All right. So again, Mr. Sir Levy, thank you very much. We
Always my
hope that
pleasure, man.
yeah, man. We hope that you do whatever is necessary to take care of your voice because you know your voice is the voice that makes you some money.
I wish.
So you definitely have to take care of that. All
Yeah,
right.
man.
Any final thoughts you want to share though before you jump off?
No, just that people. I think people should turn out this weekend and support the national championships. I think there'll be lots to see, and I think there'll be a lot to celebrate in terms of our athletes, and they need the support. Because of COVID, a lot of people have been staying away from the meet so far for the last couple of years. Wear a mask, you know, social distance, and come and support the athletes at the national championships. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you just might be surprised to see some really, really good performances, even though they might not be the best from that particular athlete this weekend because the best is yet to come. But turn out and support.
All right, cool. I'm not certain Berry if he has switched back his allegiance and know that he's hurt. If he has
No,
switched back his
he hasn't
allegiance,
switched. He has not switched. He's just hurt.
all right. So people, if you have not hit that like button, if you have not shared the stream, you can do so. We are about to close. We have about a minute before we top it off. 2 hours. Sir Levy is free to leave in that given time. All right, yes, Tego Paul. We spoke about that 800 meters with Navasky and what's his name again?
And
Um,
Parkinson and uh,
Blake.
Blake, yeah.
Yes, we spoke about that already. All right, so we have a few seconds to go. Again,
Yeah, man.
people, bless up yourself.
Yeah, man. Good night, guys.
Yeah, man,
All that.
bless up.
Take
Thanks
it
again,
easy.
Sir Levy. We'll definitely
Anytime, man.
keep in touch.
Cool. Take it
All
easy.
right. So yeah, people, that's our guest we have there. He is out, and trust me, you can't afford to miss this weekend. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be such a wonderful championship. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for tuning in. Stay safe. Until next time, peace out. We leave you with a little style and flavor.
Your style and your flavor make the city rock. They must say the season come out with a bang. Coach Minzy, best round here. Remember that.